For most of human history, food had one job: survival. You ate what you could find when you could find it. Raw meat, roots pulled from the ground, berries that probably weren't poisonous. Nobody was thinking about flavor. Nobody was thinking about experience. The entire point of eating was simply to still be alive tomorrow. And then, somewhere between survival and civilization, something quietly changed. Humans started adding things to their food that didn't need to be there. Not for calories, not for nutrition, for something else entirely. The earliest evidence of spice use doesn't come from ancient cookbooks or royal kitchens. It comes from a cave in Iraq called Shanidar. Inside that cave, archaeologists found traces of plants, herbs, flowers, and aromatic leaves. Mixed into food, remains dating back roughly 50,000 years. Nobody put them there for survival value. They were put there because someone, tens of thousands of years ago, decided that food could be more than just fuel. But the story doesn't actually start with flavor. It starts with survival. Around 10,000 years ago, before refrigeration, before salt preservation, before any understanding of bacteria, ancient humans faced a problem that killed people constantly. The meat spoiled. Fast, in hot climates, a fresh kill could become dangerous within hours. Eating spoiled meat caused illness, and illness in a world without medicine was frequently fatal. But certain plants did something remarkable to meat. Garlic, oregano, cinnamon, thyme. These plants contain powerful antimicrobial compounds. They slow bacterial growth. They extend how long food stays safe to eat. Ancient humans didn't know science. They didn't understand bacteria or compounds. But they noticed something important. Food prepared with certain plants made people sick less often. Food without them sometimes killed people. That observation, repeated over generations, became a habit. Habit became tradition. And tradition eventually became cuisine. In other words, your ancestors weren't cooking with spices because they were sophisticated. They were cooking with spices because the people who didn't keep dying. But once spices entered food for survival reasons, something unexpected happened. Humans started enjoying them, and that changed everything. By around 3,500 years ago, spices were no longer just a practical tool. They had become something people actively wanted, traveled for, and traded at enormous expense. Ancient Egyptian records from roughly 1,500 BCE document cinnamon and black pepper being imported from South Asia, a journey of thousands of miles across open ocean and dangerous overland routes. These spices weren't medicine anymore. They were luxurious, status, power. In ancient Egypt, spices were placed inside tombs alongside pharaohs. Peppercorns were found stuffed inside the nostrils of Ramesses II during his mummification, a sign of how profoundly valuable a single spice had become. Not gold, not jewels, pepper. Think about what that means. A plant that once helped hunter-gatherers avoid dying from spoiled meat had become so desirable that the most powerful civilization on Earth used it to honor their greatest kings in death. And it only accelerated from there. By the time of ancient Rome, black pepper was so valuable that it was sometimes used as currency. When the Visigoths sacked Rome in 410 CE, among their demands was 3,000 pounds of pepper. An invading army, after conquering the most powerful city in the Western world, asked for spices as part of their ransom. This wasn't random. Spices did something to human brains that other foods didn't. They stimulated, they surprised, they transformed the ordinary act of eating into something closer to an experience. Neuroscientists now know that capsaicin, the compound in chili peppers, triggers pain receptors in the mouth, which causes the brain to release endorphins in response. Ancient humans eating chili peppers were accidentally giving themselves a mild natural high. The brain, built to seek novelty and reward, responded to spices the way it responds to very few things in the natural world. It wanted more. This is why spice trade routes became the economic backbone of the ancient world. The Silk Road didn't just carry silk, it carried pepper, cinnamon, cardamom, cloves, and ginger, thousands of miles from South and Southeast Asia into the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. Entire civilizations grew wealthy by controlling single points along those routes. Wars were fought over access to spice-producing regions. Empires expanded specifically to secure stable spice supplies. Christopher Columbus wasn't sailing west to discover new continents. He was trying to find a faster route to the spice islands of Southeast Asia. He got the geography spectacularly wrong, but the motivation was entirely about spices. The world was literally reshaped by the human desire for flavor. And today, standing in your kitchen, reaching for the pepper grinder without a second thought, you are the inheritor of something extraordinary. Every spice on your shelf carries a history longer than most civilizations. Cinnamon traveled trade routes older than the Roman Empire. Black pepper was once worth its weight in silver. Chili peppers crossed entire oceans because human brains couldn't stop craving what they did. What started as ancient humans noticing that certain plants kept food safer slowly became one of the most powerful economic and cultural forces in all of human history. Not because someone planned it, but because one day, a very long time ago, someone added something to their food that didn't need to be there, tasted it and thought, "This is better." And every kitchen on Earth has been chasing that feeling ever since.